Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sapna Dadwal. I'm working as a professor in the Department of Management at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. This is lecture number 8 of Consumer Protection. This subject is taught in BBA 6th semester. The topics I am going to cover in this video lecture are Consumer Protection Act 1986. I'll be covering basic provision of this act. Then meaning of complaints as per the Act, then procedure for filing complaints, where to file a complaint, then the limit for filing a complaint under the Act, then dismissal of complaints. We are going to discuss these topics in this video lecture, that is lecture number 8 of CP. Starting with first, Consumer Protection Act 1986. This act was enacted by the Parliament of India in 1986 to protect the interest of consumers in India. The Consumer Protection Act 1986 extends to whole of India. The CPA 1986 shall apply to all goods and services which are sold in the India. Now, I would like to discuss certain definitions which are related to this act. Like appropriate authority. So as per the Act, appropriate authority means appropriate laboratory. Appropriate laboratory means a laboratory or organization recognized by central government or recognized by state government subject to such guidelines as may be prescribed the central government, or any such laboratory or organization established by or under any law for the time being in force, which is maintained, financed by the central government or the state government. Now, second definition I am going to discuss is branch office. Any establishment described as a branch by the opposite party, or any establishment carrying on the same business or working as a head office of the establishment within that particular locality. Then complainant, a consumer or any voluntary consumer association registered under cooperative societies or under any other law for the time being in force. Then complaint means any allegation in writing made by the consumer or complainant. Then consumer dispute means a dispute with the person against whom a complaint has been made. Defect means any default, imperfection or shortcomings in the quality, quantity, potency, purity or standard which is regularized or which is required and maintained beyond under the law for the time being in force under any contract. So these are the definitions, important words which are related to the Act, and these are the definition of these words. Now, statement of object and reason of the Act. The CPA 1986 seeks to provide for better protection of the interest of consumers and for the purpose to make provision for the establishment of consumers, councils and other authorities for settlement of consumer disputes and for matter connected therewith. So, this is the first object of the CPA Act 1986. Then CPA 1986 seeks inter alia to promote and protect the rights of consumers, such as the right to protect against marketing of goods which are hazardous to life and property of the consumer, the right to be informed about the quality, quantity, purity, potency, standards and price of goods to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices. Then the right to be assured wherever possible access to an authority of goods at competitive prices. Then the right to be heard, to be assured that consumers' interest will receive due consideration at appropriate forums, the forums which are made for the consumers. Then the right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices. Then a right to consumer education, so that consumer can be saved from these unfair trade practices. Now, the third object is the objects are sought to be promoted and protected by consumer protection councils to be established at central and state level. So, this is the third object, that CPA sought to promoted and protected by the consumer protection councils. So, consumer protection councils is to be established at central as well as state levels for the protection of the consumer. Then fourth is to provide speedy and simple redressal to consumer disputes. A quasi-judicial machinery is sought to be set up at district, state and central levels. The quasi-judicial bodies will observe the principles of natural justice and have been empowered to give relief of a specified nature and to award wherever appropriate compensation to consumers. These quasi-judicial bodies are known as district forum, state commission, national commission. We have already discussed in our last lecture. Now, consumer protection councils. We have seen that it is one of the object of CPA to establish consumer protection council both at central level as well as at state level for the protection of the consumers. Now, the Central Consumer Protection Council. First I am starting with Central Consumer Protection Council. This is central government by notification can establish with effect a council to be known as Central Consumer Protection Council, and the council shall consist of the following members, namely, first will be the minister in charge of consumer affairs in the central government, who shall be its chairman. Such number of other officials or non-official members representing such interest as may be prescribed. The object of the Central Consumer Protection Council will be, the main object of the council is to protect the rights of the consumer against the marketing of goods which are hazardous to life and property, then provide information or to protect the right to be informed about the quality, quantity, purity of goods, services, so that consumption can be protected, consumer can be protected against the unfair trade practices by the traders and businessmen. Then right to be assured wherever possible access to variety of goods and services at competitive prices. Then right to be heard and to be assured that consumers' interest will receive due consideration at appropriate forum. Then right to consumer education. Now the second is the State Consumer Protection Council, which is to be established by state governments in their respective states. So the state governments may be by notification establish a councils to be known as State Consumer Protection Councils for the interest or for the protection of the consumers in their respective states. The council shall consist the following members. First will be the minister in charge of the consumer affairs in the state government, who shall be the chairman of this council. That be such members of other official or non-official members representing such interest as may be prescribed by the state government. Then third is the state councils shall meet as and when necessary, but not less than 2 meetings shall be held every year. So 2 is minimum meeting that a state council member has to meet so minimum twice they have to meet. Then object of every state council shall be to provide and protect within state the rights of consumer laid down in clause A to F as per the section 6 of CPA Act 1986. We have already discussed this. We have already discussed it in the topic object of the, we have discussed here. So these are the objects, statement object which the consumer, the State Consumer Protection Council has to establish and or follow. So these are the objectives. Now there comes Chapter 3 of CPA Act is related to establishment of consumer dispute redressal agencies. I have already discussed this chapter in my lecture number 6. I have already discussed district forums in detail. I have already discussed state commissions in detail. I have already discussed national commissions in detail. I have discussed this as in my last lecture, that is lecture 6. I have already discussed what are district forums. District forums are to be established or formulated, established by state government in the districts, state commission, then national commission. And I have already discussed their jurisdictions also. Now, procedures for filing a complaint. A complaint should contain the following information: the name, description, and address of the complainant, the name, address, description of the opposite party, the facts relating to the complainant and when facts relating to complaint and when and where this complaint arose, then documents, if any, in support of the allegation contained in the complaint, the relief which the complainant is seeking. The complaint may either be presented by complainant himself or by his authorized agent or representative in person, or sent by post to the appropriate forum, a commission. There is no fee for filing a complaint. Now comes where to file a complaint. So if the value of the goods and services and the compensation, if any, claimed does not exceed rupees 20 lakhs, then the complaint can be filed in the district forum within local limits of whose jurisdiction the opposite party actually resides or carries out business or has branch office whereby the cause arose. Then, if the value of goods and services is more than 20 lakh but doesn't exceed 1 crore, the complaint can be filed before the state commission. Where a joint petition is filed on behalf of large numbers of victims and the amount of compensation claimed in the petition does not exceed 1 crore, then it can be heard by state commission. State commission has also jurisdiction to hear the appeals of district forum also. Now third is, if the value of goods, services and compensation claimed exceeds 1 crore, then it can be filed in the national commission only. So above 1 crore compensation claims or 1 crore, above 1 crore value of goods and services complaints can be filed only in national commission. Now the limit for filing a complaint under the Act. The Consumer Protection Act 1993 has incorporated a new provision as regard to period of limitation within which the complaint is to be filed with the Consumer Court. Section 24A provide as follows. So this amendment was made in 1993 what is the limit for filing a complaint under the Act. Prior to this, the limit was different, but after 1993, the limit is of 2 years. The district forum, the state commission or the national commission shall not admit a complaint unless it is filed within 2 years from the date on which the cause of action has arose. However, a complaint may be entertained even after the expiry of said 2 years if complainant satisfies the consumer court that he had sufficient cause for not filing a complaint within such period. Now the next topic is dismissal of complaint. A complaint can be dismissed if the complainant is not a consumer within the meaning of the act. So as per the act, or as per the meaning of the act, if he is not a consumer, then his complaint will not be treated as a complaint, it will be dismissed. The second reason is the relief sought do not fall within the purview of section 14 of the act. Then the complaint can be dismissed by the court. The complaint will be dismissed by the forum, commissions, state commission or national commission where it is filed. So it is very clear from this that what is the procedure of filing a complaint. So what are the reasons on which the complaint can be dismissed, and what is the limit within which the complaint is to be filed, and what are the basic provisions of the CPA Act, what are the objects of the Act, CPA Act, and how or councils, what are different councils which are established under CPA Act, and what are the objectives of those councils under the Act. So this is all in this lecture. These are the questions which are related to the above topics I have discussed in this lecture. If any query is there, please do contact me, and please ignore the writing mistakes. Thank you so much.